Welcome, motherfuckers. Another beautiful edition of what are we calling this show? The ATF radio show. That's what it is. Sorry, I forgot for a minute. We've got our private security here, just in case you guys want to act up. He's ready to lay a motherfucker down. So,
Code name, none of your business.
NYB. Liam Neeson Jr. There you go. There you go. So, in honor of C3 Fest and Eric Espinoza is going to be here today for the Espinoza event. I broke out an original box of the Bunker Busters from 2014. I only smoked 2 cigars out of it, and then Art and I are smoking cigar 3 and 4 out of the box.
Unbelievable. Thank you for this.
Yes. I did get to try a knuckle sandwich, and very good cigar. Very good cigar. So Espinoza's knocked it out of the park again with his good friend Guy Fieri, who he was actually hanging out with in Puerto Rico all week. So he's actually flying in on a private jet to get here today just to come in to do this charity event.
And there's a report possibly that guy might be coming with him.
Well, if that's the case, I'm going to take him home and then show my girl how to cook.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, he's an accomplished chef. He can teach me something.
But you didn't lead with that. You didn't say teach us something. You said teach her how to cook. And don't forget, this is the month of March. It's Women's History Month.
The fuck?
Figures. But yes, once again, it's C3 Fest here in lovely Sanford, which stands for Charity, Crafts, and Cornhole. So there's a lot of that going on right here along the Riverwalk, specifically at Executive 225 West Seminole Boulevard, which is a presenting sponsor of this particular event. So come on down. There's food trucks, food booths. There's crafts. You can dunk people in a dunk tank. For the kids, there's bouncies. There's all sorts of charity and craft activities, or craft activities, I should say. And the great thing about it is that all of this supports a lot of the local charities. So even more reason on a beautiful 87, 88 degree sunny day right off Lake Monroe to get your ass down here and enjoy some of these festivities. And then later on, we've got the executive band led by Quinn Shaw doing this thing. And then around 7:30ish, for those who don't know, the man, the voice himself, Teddy Swims, is going to be here to sing and do his thing. So there's a lot going on. So for those of you who are in the Orlando area and are relatively close by, you ain't got shit else to do. You've done the laundry, you've done the dishes, you've cooked, or maybe you haven't.
Or you're in the doghouse and you're just trying to get out and not get the daggers, the stare daggers. Come on out.
Come on out.
I mean, there's fun for the kids. There's food for the kids. There's fun for adults. It's not just about cigars, so don't get caught up in that. Like, yes, it's sponsored by the Executive Cigar Lounge here in Sanford, but it's about raising money for a great cause. Last one we did was the Bikers Against Human Trafficking.
Yes.
So that's a great cause. I can't recall offhand what the charity is for this one.
There's a few for this one,
but they do these every quarter. So it's a great event for a Saturday. It's free. You just got to pay for your food or whatever it is. The dunk tank you have to pay for. The bouncy house for the kids, all those things. Those are all free things. The entertainment's free. So come out and support your local community. Come out and support your local businesses. And if you're questioning cigars, hey, it's no better time to find out if you're made for it or not. Like our buddy here.
Yeah.
LJ, as I'll call him from now on.
Okay. And but some of the charities that are supported are Angels of Mercy Ministries, empowers displaced women with resources. Kids First, improve the health and quality of life of children in economically impacted areas of Florida. There's Love Missions, dedicated to the abolishment of human trafficking. So those are the main benefactors of all the funds and proceeds that are going to be generated today. So great charities worth supporting. But Executive is the presenting sponsor, along with ServPro, Responder First, the Norelli Family Foundation, Janney Roofing. So And then in terms of food, you got Chantel's here, Rustic
Justin
Road.
too.
Yep, Chantel's Justin Till is here, Rustic Road, S&S Cheesesteak, J Delicious, and A&W Barbecue and Seafood. So there's just crazy. And then I won't even list all the different street vendors that are here, but yeah, it's a great event. So
You've got indoor and outdoor bars going. Like you said, the food trucks are here. There's probably about 4 or 5 food trucks with different types of food. So anything you can think of, they've got it here. And of course, you got the view.
and we've got a stalker standing right in front of the van.
Yeah. Who's it? Oh, the police officer?
No, there was somebody. This guy right here with the Miami hat. He's about to
Oh,
approach the door.
so yeah, let him in. I'm sorry. That is Jeremy. He is a video blogger and podcaster from Miami.
Oh,
So
I thought you were recording already. I didn't.
We are.
We are, but
Oh,
you're all right.
come
Come
on
on
in.
brother.
come on in,
You
Jeremy.
got his drink and everything.
How are you?
I'll let you have that seat right there.
This one right here?
Yeah. You just hand me them glasses.
Drink
These
in hand.
glasses right here.
This man's ready.
all right, so we have a Miami cigar celebrity in the house.
No celebrity. No
Oh.
celebrity.
Personality. There we go. What's up, Jeremy?
We're
All
gonna
right.
call it what it
Nice
is.
meeting you, man.
So JB with Iconic Smokers.
Mhm.
We also have Lucky Bastard, Coyaba Cigars, and we have the Iconic Smokers Volume 1 cigar made by Espinosa, which was our first release that came out with them. So, obviously.
Give me this. This is an original Bunker Buster from 2014
Look at that.
from the launch at Smoke-In down in Boynton Beach. So that is only the 5th cigar out of the box.
So funny story about this cigar. So although I'm with junior and senior all day long. I get to hang out and smoke and try everything from long before life. Right. This particular cigar, the first one I was able to get actually came from another Brother Leaf. So this is the second one in the history of my life
Wow.
that I'm getting to smoke. So appreciate you, brother.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure.
So-
It's that's one of the biggest things about cigar smoking that I love, and Art will tell you this. All my friends will tell you I'm one of those guys that I walk around with a travel case with at least 50 to 75 cigars, and that's because number one, I don't ever know what I'm going to smoke until I get there and I open my case.
Yeah.
But also the other thing is, as you said, the fellowship and brotherhood of the leaf and sisterhood of the leaf is about sharing. A lot of people, when they get into cigars, whether they're a novice or they've been smoking for 20 or 30 years, they get into that groove of, I found a cigar that I like, and this is the only thing I'm going to smoke. And being a tobacconist and working at a tobacco shop and trying to get people into other cigars was one of the hardest things ever. Especially, you got your 40 to 60-year-old guys who play golf every day. They're like, no, I just want a cheap stick I can chew on. And I'm like, yeah, but when you're not on the golf course, when you're at home enjoying a glass of wine or bourbon or scotch, when you're in a cigar shop and you're talking shop with everybody, that's the time when you actually get to relax and truly enjoy.
Yeah.
So I love to gift cigars, and it's not a, oh, thanks for giving me this, and let me post it, or let me say you gave it to me. No, it's one of those things that I have a love of the leaf from birth, truly. And I got into cigars 20 years after I was born. And I'll be 42 in a couple of months. And for the past 21 years, I have enjoyed cigars. And I have enjoyed bringing people that same pleasure. And the biggest thing, like I tell Art all the time, is taking that first puff after a long, stressful day. And as that smoke billows out of your mouth, all the day's problems, all the stresses, all the grief, all the anguish, all that shit dissipates with the smoke.
So let me ask you a question. So being the fact that you have now been in the cigar smoking game for about 21 years, how many cigars do you find yourself smoking in a day now?
Now, I will say honestly, maybe once every 2 to 3 days. Just because life happens. I got the kids, I got the lady, I got work. So, trying to find the time to really sit down and enjoy a cigar is a little bit harder. Now, when I was single and working at a cigar shop, I could smoke 8 to 10 cigars in a day. And if it's an event like the Great Smoke, for example, one year at the Great Smoke, I smoked 22 cigars from 7:30 in the morning till about 4 o'clock. Till about 4 o'clock in the next morning, as we like stumbled out of Spearmint Rhino. So, but I will say, inhaling that much nicotine, I did not smoke for about a week and a half afterwards.
Yeah.
But I do find myself on those, I do go on those binges sometimes, and it may be like on the weekend, like I don't have the kids, they're busy with stuff, the ladies out doing something. I might sit on the patio and go through 3 or 4 cigars in a bottle of Havana Club.
Yeah.
And so.
In my case, I'd say there are days where I do smoke and days where I don't, but all told, in a week, I probably smoke about 12 to 15 cigars a week on average. So yeah, that's probably my body count, if you will. we're talking sticks.
I'm gonna stick with you on that one. So for me, when I got into the industry, I started working for a shop. I was doing the marketing and everything. Then I met Eric. I met Senior first.
Yeah.
Senior is one of those guys that he's super particular about the people who are around him, about the people who are around his family. So, but once you're in, you're in. But the thing is that you got to understand, if Senior busts your chops, it's because he loves you.
Yep.
He wants you around.
That's old school.
Yeah. So if he doesn't bust your chops, just know that. Might as well move on. Get on that old pony and ride away nice and slow into the sunset. So when I first got to Espinosa Cigars, I had to understand the complexity of full body, because with Espinosa Cigars you're gonna get full flavor and you're gonna get full body. So you have to be prepared for those styles of cigars. So one of my favorites is the 601, and that was until and I like the Larange. I like every profile, but once the La Cis Provencia drops, and I had an opportunity to work with Junior on like the coins and different projects that we've done together or whatever. It became one of those cigars that became a memory and a keepsake. So every time I have an opportunity to smoke that cigar, it takes me back into those moments where we're sitting there 9, 10, 12 o'clock at night talking or whatever and smoking and enjoying the leaf. And when you go to Espinosa's, when you go to actual physical warehouse and you get to walk around and you feel the environment, it's the aura within that environment that defines that family. They create a. It's like believe it or not, this is my first time taking a drive to executive, and at first I was astonished by number one, the amazing job that you guys did here with just the setup alone. But then once I got to walk into the lounge, I mean, you feel it. I mean, it just comes into you, and you're like, yo, 2 things I need. I told the young lady I need an old fashioned, and I need a cigar.
Yeah.
And man, and I love the atmosphere up here because it immediately feels like home.
Yeah, and that's part of the vibe that they're trying to create with Executive Cigar Shop and Lounge. So there's a tobacconist on site, Edka, who's phenomenal, knows her sticks forward and backwards. The staff is friendly. They make great drinks. They've got a good selection of bourbon and whiskey and tequila, and they do craft drinks and so forth. So I'm an old-fashioned guy myself. Lately, I've been enjoying old-fashions with the Sincoro Cruzado one.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I'm also a purist too. So, Tom and Erica and Alex, the owners and managing partners, that's what they're trying to create here. So the lounge has been around since 2019. So it's a journey. And then Mother Nature did half of it. Being able to have Lake Monroe right here too. Yeah. So you being able to sit outside and look over the water.
The view here is second to none. It's second to none. But what really pushed me over the edge to say that I'm gonna have to be here not only every year for the C3 event, but I'm gonna have to come at least every quarter just to have a seat, is that private lounge that with the 24-hour access, the
Boardroom.
boardroom
Yeah.
as you guys call it.
Yeah.
Now that is a gentleman's club. If you had to name something with that term, that's a gentleman's club.
Yeah.
You know so I met CP, and he walked me back there and he gave me a tour, and he was explaining to me the aspect that the way you guys have it set up with the telephone access and everything like that.
Yeah.
I mean that like, and I've traveled the world. I've had the opportunity. I've been to Hong Kong, Nicaragua. I just got back from Dominican Republic. I mean, I've been the plethora of places, but this one is most intriguing. And now, mind you, this is coming from the guy who just came from the Arturo Fuente Cigar Club in Dominican Republic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you guys did an amazing job in the way that you rival with the rest of the world, not the country but the world. And hats off to you guys. Seriously, hats off to you guys because absolute absolute absolutely you're presenting the essence of the culture, which is what people need. And that's why now being here, having known Erica, been in Vegas, been to ICPR, PCA with her, and everything like that. Being here, I understand where she gets her vision from.
Yeah.
And you guys culminate that to create magic.
And they continue to push the envelope. They've got a permit to have a marina built. So COVID obviously slowed that down. So just waiting on it's been approved. Just waiting on the Army Corps of Engineers to do the survey. So at some point you're going to be able to have a marina where you can bring a boat up and dock your boat and go into the lounge. So, but they continue to push the envelope in terms of trying to create a great experience for cigar smokers and people who just like drinking. Having a good drink in general. There've been a couple times I've come here and I didn't even smoke a cigar. I just came to get a drink and enjoy the view.
Yeah,
so,
I mean the selection of bourbon. I'm a bourbon whiskey guy. I'm a collector. Yep. So the selection alone, like my old fashioned, I had to go with the Elijah Craig. Yeah. I don't care who hating. Whether out there or in here, it don't matter. The Elijah Craig, okay. Yeah. And then if we're talking about a plain, classic drink, then we can argue. But as far as this right here, they did it right, 1,000% right. So with your audience and your podcast, what is it that you try to put forth for them?
So I think the biggest thing for me is just fellowship. I mean, I'm sure you can attest to this. So can Art and a lot of people watch. I've gone into cigar shops for the first time, and nobody speaks to you.
Oh, right. You need one?
No, I'm here.
Oh, thanks.
And you're brand new to the lounge or you're visiting. Nobody says anything to you. You've got a room full of people. Nobody says, "Hey, welcome to the lounge. How you doing?" We're not talking staff. We're just talking about the regulars. That is one of the things that I think really needs to be pushed in every shop, because you never know, and people judge off appearance all the time. I mean, I get it all the time. When I went to my first cigar shop in Florida, and I went and I was like, I need a Padron Maduro 80 year. Everybody in the shop looked at me like I was crazy. And he was like, well, you know how much that cigar costs? And I'm like, I don't ask for anything that I can't afford.
Yeah, don't profile me.
And it was one of those things where I want everybody to be comfortable, whether we're talking race, whether we're talking religion, whether we're talking economic status. Like, when you come into a cigar lounge, that was the basis of a cigar lounge. It was, when you come in these doors, you light your cigar, you sit down, and you smoke. And your cigar band doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're smoking a $2 stick or a $500 stick. I've met some of my best friends at cigar shops. I mean, you think about, I've met doctors, I've met lawyers, I've met the fucking trash man. I've met the city worker who makes $35,000 a year and has a family. And at the end of the day, what you realize is we're all human.
You know what's crazy about what you're saying? So that's twofold, right? Number one, that's one of the values. I'm a Mason, so that's one of the values of Masonry, right? It doesn't matter what you are outside the door, because when you're coming in the door, we're all equal. Exactly. You could be the president of the United States, or you could be a trash guy. right? Most corporations, if they followed that technique and they decided to say that, hey, listen, we're gonna treat everybody the same, like the NFL does. Like when they win a championship ring, the janitor gets one.
Yep.
Yep.
If every company did that, do you know how far more advanced the United States would be just in general because of that? And then speaking on the other half that you're talking about the camaraderie when you go to lounges and everything like that, I actually created this challenge coin right here. This is our iconic smoker black card. So this particular challenge coin, this is what our my membership has. And then what happens is when you go into a lounge and you show that card tells them, hey, listen, I'm associated to JB, and I want to be treated as such. And so then they know. So in two parts. So the lounge knows automatically, hey, we can let our guard down because we know that number one, this guy's going to take care of his staff. Number two, you know what, he comes highly recommended if he has one of these.
Exactly.
And number three, we know that you know what, there's a point of contact for any reason, which I've never been contacted for anything, but it's one of the greatest things in the world. And our cards are numbered. So when you go, hey man, this guy came in and he showed me number 39. 39. Let me
Exactly
go.
what that
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 72. Oh, that's Quentin. What happened with Quentin? Oh, 43. Oh, that, you know what I mean? So we know.
And it makes everybody be accountable for their actions as well.
Yeah.
So that is an amazing concept. I love that.
Another thing that we try to encourage is uh, inclusivity as opposed to exclusivity. You know, we've done shows where we've talked about some of the best cigars that you can buy under $10. You know, we've done shows where we've talked about uh, the basics, lighting, cutting a cigar, lighting a cigar, retrohaling. You know, what you get out of the first, second, third parts of a cigar, binder, filler, wrapper, just basic stuff, because it can be intimidating when you go certain places and everybody's smoking a cigar, everybody's got a drink, and you don't know why somebody's smoking what they're smoking. So it could be based on how you're feeling, what you've had to eat that day, your mood, all those different things. And so we try to bring forth the culture and the experience of cigar smoking as being, all inclusive. To the cigar snob's point, we don't care who you're smoking or what the band says, just that you're smoking something and that
Yeah.
you are in fellowship with with your friends and neighbors, and quite a few of the members of this lounge here also are big into motorcycles, and they talk a lot about the similarities in that camaraderie. You can have
Yeah.
just all backgrounds, all ethnicities. We've also talked about what's going on in DC with attempts to add additional taxes and on cigar smoking, and we're against that. People should be able to smoke a cigar whenever they want, without the laws of a particular state or government laws trying to hold that down. So those are just some of the things that we try to discuss and talk about and empower people when it comes to the art and the culture and the enjoyment of smoking cigars. And we've talked about it before. I started smoking cigars during a time when my mom was ill. I was out with a buddy of mine and we had a drink, and he said, "You ever smoked a cigar before?" And I said, "No, never smoked anything before." And the first cigar he gave me was a Arturo Fuente double chateau, and then
Wow.
the second one was a Royal Salute. And just those first few puffs off of each one, I was just able to sit back and relax, and it just gave me a different mindset. And so for me, I associate with cigar smoking with camaraderie, with fellowship, with relaxation, with taking the edge off the day. When I have an argument with my lady, one of the first things I'm doing is I'm trying to go somewhere and have a drink, have a cigar, and then I can calm down, cool off, get my thoughts together. Then I can work on, all right, how do we fix this? So whether it's after a long day of work or whatever the case is, I associate cigar smoking with enjoyment, with relaxation. So those are the things that we're also trying to constantly promote.
So for me, now I actually smoke 4 to 6 cigars a day
Okay.
on average. Um, like I'll start out like because we just came back from Dominican Republic. I'm doing a lot of Dominican tobacco at the moment, but Nicaraguan tobacco is to me one of my absolute favorites. Especially with like these older blends like this one. Like I mean, dude, this you've aged this incredible. I mean, the humidity on this was perfect. The light. and then we're sitting here, and then the AC's on, and I mean it's just going, and then I'm already going through that first third, and I'm getting the same nuances that I got from the original one, which means that you know what, like you guys know what you're doing with the humidor. So I don't know if you had this in a locker, I don't know if you had it in a back room, I don't know if you had it tucked away deep.
So I've got I got rid of it. I had a Viking Air wine fridge, 6 foot tall wine fridge, and then I had about 5 or 6 other humidors. Then I had foot lockers. So I've got all total right about now probably around 6,000 cigars. And people are like, "Oh, you're a collector," and I'm like, "No, I'm a smoker." And they're like, "Well, how can you smoke and have that many cigars?" I'm like, "Because I go through them, but also because if I find a cigar I like, and I know your palate, I know Art's palate, I know somebody else's palate, and I think they're gonna like this or they'll appreciate it, I'll pack 5 sticks in my box.
Yeah.
I'm only gonna smoke one, but depending on how many people I hang out with that night, and I know that this is gonna touch their palate in the way it touches mine, I'm gonna say, here, try this out." And it's always been about brand building for me. You know, I have my own tobacco company. I manufacture cigars myself. However, I will tell you, and Art's heard it. I did an event at Bellicoso Cigars, and one of the customer questions was, "Well, why should I spend $10 on your stick, and I've never heard of you when I can just buy somebody else's?" And I told myself, "Here's the thing. To be blatantly and bluntly honest with you, I don't give a fuck what you smoke. I don't give a fuck if you never smoke my cigar. To me, that shit doesn't hurt my feelings, and trust me, it's not going to break my pockets. Because at the end of the day, the people who know, and they're going to smoke it." I said, as long as you are smoking a cigar, I don't care. I don't care if it's a flavored cigar. I don't care if it's, just one of the ugly sticks. I don't care what it is. I just want, when you come into a cigar shop, you are engulfed in the culture of cigars. People are like, "Oh, well, if you smoke a flavored cigar or, something pumped up with essential oils, that, oh, you're smoking a girly cigar." And I'm like, don't get it twisted. I say one of the most underrated cigars I will tell you about, and I'm sure you know this already, the Extraordinary Larry by Drew Estate.
Yeah.
It's a wine-flavored cigar, right? It's a wine-flavored cigar.
Uh-huh.
Don't get it fucked up. It is a strong Maduro.
Mm-hmm.
You don't assume it and say, "Oh, it's just a girly cigar, it's a foofy cigar." Okay. And you sit down and you smoke the first third without getting up. And then you try to get up.
Mm-hmm.
You will get that head rush, you will get dizzy, and it'll punch you in the dick and say, "Hey, I'm still a cigar." And I think that's one of the bigger things that we really need to focus on in the cigar community, is that it's not a girly cigar or a manly cigar. Cigars are cigars. Everybody's palate's different.
Yep.
And that is exactly why we have the vision that we have of making sure that everyone feels comfortable.
Yeah.
And, at lounges like you go to, the Leaf Lounge in Titusville, you come here to Executive, whether it's here or it's Melbourne, whether you go down to, the smoke-ins, like that is the one thing that when you walk into those shops, it doesn't matter what you ask for. Nobody's going to look at you funny and be like, "Why are you smoking that?" That's not a thing.
Yep.
It's, okay, that's what you're smoking, cool. Let's get you one. Or if we don't have that, look, we don't have that right now, but I've got 4 or 5 cigars that are very similar in flavor profile and strength to that. Let me introduce you to something new.
And I'm a true Scorpio, so I'm selfish by nature. So for that individual who's not going to smoke his cigar, that's more for me. Because every time I get a Triple H cigar, I'm like a kid at Christmas. I look at it like opening the box in Pulp Fiction, So yeah, we don't tolerate that.
I don't like to make it public, but I'm in your realm as far as the amount of cigars. I'll leave it at that. Right? I'm in your realm. I'm not gonna say if I'm higher or lower, but do not come to my house. Don't come to my house. Actually, no. My friends who come over, what I like to do, what I like to do is when you come over to my house, I'll order meat. We'll order like some tomahawks. I do a mean. It's my own personal recipe, but I do a nice jerk tomahawk. Right? And then so I make sure, like, we're going to start smoking. We're going to drink when we start. I'm going to start you out, but I take you through a course. Yeah. And the whole reason is because when we get to those full body cigars, I want you to understand the complexity of it. It's like the initial third of this cigar. This one, it comes out as light and airy, but as soon as you hit that initial second third,
It's
like
like
yeah, it kicks in and it kicks right. And a lot of people don't understand the complexity of cigars, and it's not because they don't smoke enough or they don't smoke often. It's because they don't take the time to enjoy the actual smoke itself. And that, to me, that's what makes the difference. And even in this moment where we're doing this, the fact that this is what a cigar lounge is supposed to be.
Yep.
It's the conversations, that camaraderie, that togetherness, that cohesiveness, that glue that's holding us together is all found within this right here. This little leaves.
it's the great
You know?
equalizer.
Yeah.
It really is.
And it's one of those beautiful things in nature. I always challenge people. I had a young lady. We were walking around here. I was taking pictures of all the different vendors and everything like that. And there was a young lady. She's like, I see you smoking a cigar. Because I smoke while I work.
Yeah.
If I can't smoke, I don't need to be there. But so she's like, why you got the cigar? I said the best way for a person who doesn't smoke cigars to understand is if you drink tea and you understand that um, every tea leaf can taste different, and they can be across the spectrum. Cigars is the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes, although the plants they grow in the same stocks, same style stocks, and everything like that, but it's like tea leaves. Each one, depending on how much binder, filler, and then the wrapper that you choose, creates that combination that is second to none. And my whole thing is there's no bad cigar.
No,
There's no bad cigar.
just not
It's
good for your
just not
palate. That's
good
all.
for your
Yeah.
palate.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? Me and you never had a conversation, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But that shows that there's a certain level that you get in this industry where things become just second nature. They're natural, and
And it also goes to the respect of the art. Like there are a lot of cigars by a lot of people that I will tell you, I won't say, I don't like it. I'll say it's not for me because, like I tell people about my brand, I didn't make my brand for a particular smoker. I made my brand for me. It was an homage to my grandfather who passed, who smoked all he smoked was Dominican Habano Puros. That's it. So when I made my first cigar, everybody's like, "Oh, well, some people aren't going to like this." It's not for everybody.
No.
I'm not the multi-billion-dollar cigar company who's trying to just throw something and make sure that everybody can smoke everything. Like, and it's fine to be, and I don't like the boutique word, so I use niche. It's fine to be a niche cigar product. It's fine
Different. Yeah.
because what makes me different is you're not going to find what I give you anywhere else. You may find something similar, but you'll never have that same experience with somebody who has a Habano that's different from mine. You just won't.
Yeah.
the statement for that is the cigar is here for when you get here.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's the statement because
That's it.
at the end of the day, like even with us, even when I was working with Junior to create Volume One, that cigar is strong. It's a put you on your ass cigar with a nice introduction. It'll start,
Starts out a little
yeah. That first eighth starts out mild, but then that rest ramps up really quick. And the whole reason behind that is because I enjoy full body smoke. I enjoy, for me, like I can smoke all day. That's not the issue. But for me, the best smoke is after the dinner,
Yep.
during the drink.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
it creates, it encapsulates you. It creates a moment in your own time, And if you're surrounded by good people, then that just adds to it,
Yeah.
and that gives you that bonus.
Now, you said you make tomahawks. So about 5 years ago, I actually had my first cigar at a cigar dinner at Ruth Chris, where I was actually smoking while I ate my steak.
Such a different experience.
And when I say, and people think I'm exaggerating, when I say a life-changing experience, chewing your smoke while you're chewing a fine cut of meat, you can't put it into words.
It's like
It's
stepping.
one-
It's like stepping into another realm.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I tell people, I'm like, well, what is it like? And I'm like, to be honest with you, you have
Out
to
of body
experience yourself.
It's
Yeah.
an out of body
Yeah.
experience.
I said, you have to
Yeah.
experience it yourself. And I said, and then when you do, you won't be able to explain to me how it made you feel. I said, but it is something that I think if you're a cigar lover, if you love a good steak, like that is one of those experiences that you should definitely
Where did
try.
you do that?
Uh, Actually, right here in Winter Park. We went out for one of the guys who has Cigar Joe, good guy from who owned a cigar shop. He invited us. He was like, "Hey, I got a cigar dinner. We're doing it, and 5-course dinner, 5 cigars." We were there. We were out on the outdoor patio for about 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
And so, you're smoking your cigar with your aperitif and your appetizer and things. You have a cigar for your salad course, which people think is crazy. And then he's like, "Well, I know what you like to smoke, so smoke this." So he he gives me a Kill Bill 2, which is hands down one of my favorite cigars. And I tell people it's probably one of the best $10 and under unassuming Maduros you will ever smoke.
Yes, sir.
For one reason, people always associate strength with color.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It is a Connecticut wrap. And let me tell you something. When you smoke that cigar, it is nothing short of amazing. Every time I've had it. To the point where it's a staple. Like I have 3 boxes at all times in the house just of that cigar. Because it's so good. And when I do meet people who like to smoke and we're at a barbecue or we're at an event where we can smoke and there's good meat, I'm like, hey, if you like a Maduro, light this up when your steak comes on. When your steak gets delivered to the table, cut the cigar and light it up. Do a cold draw. Eat your first piece of meat. Then, once you finish chewing it up, now take a puff.
True that
And
smoke.
note that difference between that first puff in the beginning without anything else on your palate and then coupled with that well cooked. And I'm not saying well done, I'm saying well cooked because I like my steaks medium rare. That's just me. I think to me that is the best way to cook it because you still have all of that flavor that's in the blood that's still in the meat. I just
Especially if it's a well aged steak too. So you really, pick that up.
When they're well aged, you get that nice creamy that chew, that bite, and then
really makes a difference.
and then the way it coats your mouth, the way the smoke
Just sticks to it.
yeah, and the release of it is just it's second to none. And to me, it doesn't matter the cigar itself because I know guys who smoke the Quorums and I know guys who smoke the Arturo Fuente God's Whispers. You know what I mean? To me, it's just in that moment in time, it's what fits your palate because all of our palates is different. So it's because of that I enjoy it. Now, here's my question to you, and I'll tell you my answer first: band on or band off. And I'll start first. I like smoking band off when I'm in public. I only smoke band on when I'm in private. The reason being is that I have to be amongst friends to be able to leave a band on the cigar. Because what happens is, especially like when I'm at a show, one thing they like to do is like, "Oh, you smoking that? Nah, man, you need to smoke this." No, I'm smoking to enjoy it. So, and I'm not
to impress you.
Yeah. So I don't believe in like if I start a cigar, oh, you best believe it's gonna go down to the nub. Now, if I got a poker, it may go a little less than that. But it's until I start to burn my fingers, then I'll put it down. But the whole, oh, you know what? Put this down, pick this up, put this down, pick this up. I can't do that. I'm sorry.
So I will just show you my cigar. The band is off. And I am of the exact same school of philosophy because, again, remember I said the cigar shop is the equalizer. The cigar is the great equalizer. When you are among friends, when you're among people who are like-minded, the last thing you want to do is make somebody feel less than they are because they're smoking a $2 stick and you're smoking a $500 stick. And it goes to, and it's a respect thing too, because the cigar lounge was the place where everybody could go, and it didn't matter. Again, it didn't matter how much money you made. You were just a guy or a lady smoking a cigar. That's it. And I think, people are like, oh, well, we're not trying to be pretentious about it, and we're not trying to show off. And I'm like, but you are. Like, let's be honest. Cigar bands are made to show off the cigar.
Yeah.
We know what you're smoking. We know what you do for a living. We already know what your taste is. We know what your price point is. If we're hanging out, you don't need to show it to us. And if you're a good cigar smoker, and if you've been in this game for a while, you can look at a cigar and you can tell exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And I usually ask people, what brand do you smoke? I don't ask them what the cigar is. I just say what brand. That's it.
Yeah.
Because I don't need to know. Oh, I'm smoking a Padron Maduro 80. I don't need to know that. You're smoking a Padron, cool. You're smoking a Quorum, cool. One of the things that I want to talk to you about is, and I told Art this the other day, and it's not because you're here. It's not because it's an Espinosa event. One of the best cigars that I have ever smoked is the E Doble. The E Doble is a budget cigar from Espinosa. It's about $3 a stick. Let me tell you something. That cigar, if you put a band on it, you could sell that cigar for $15 and nobody would bat an eye. I swear to you. It is a complex cigar. It is a cigar that when you sit down and think, and it's not a cigar that you, like, people go and buy them for the golf course. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, no, do not disrespect that cigar like that. They're like, oh, but it's, it's a cheap cigar. I was like, okay, well, bust the pack open right now. Sit down and smoke one. And when they smoke that cigar, then they get it. They're like, why is this only $3 or $3.60? It was $3.60 for a 6x60. And I'm like, because of the love he has for cigars.
But do you understand why that cigar was made? The reason behind that particular cigar, and what I love about that cigar, is that Eric, he doesn't make the cigar for the price point.
No.
He makes the cigar for the culture.
Yeah.
So when the cigar is made for the culture, you have an opportunity to express yourself within the leaf. So you're talking about when Hector at that when Hector and all these blenders who work for Espinosa, Hector's running now. Hector's killing the show right now. I got shout out Hector, shout out fucking Hector, because Hector's killing it right now. But but when you have guys who like Eric, who works with like AJ, who works with all these different guys, and Eric, like you would have to go to Nicaragua with senior or junior, and you'd have to walk the fields. Like I'll show you guys off camera, but you have to understand and walk the fields and go to those tobacco fields where this mom and pop owns it, or even AJ, because AJ has a lot of connects down there too, and he has a lot of fields himself. But when you go there and you understand, like when a person tells you that 300 hands touched your cigar, dude, you got the guy who tests the soil, you got the lady who put the seed in the ground, you got the guy who comes and waters it, you got the lady that cultivates it to make sure that it rises. I mean, that's one of me personally, that's one of my absolute dreams, is to track a seed to ash. Yep. That's the movie that I want to make. That's like my bucket list thing to make, because once you understand that, and you understand how in each and every cigar goes through that same process. Companies may have different standards, right? Tobacco may have different aging periods, or and the way that they go through, like, say for example, when they bunch them, or when they put them in a pilon, like they may have different aspects of that nature. But at the end of the day, when it's rolled, it went through the same process, but that it's that extra care, like for example, every cigar from Espinosa that comes over, it goes into the freezer. They make sure they sit it there. They go through the full process. There's no cutting corners. You know what I mean? Why would a guy like Guy Fieri decide to work with Espinosa, right? Why would a guy like Guy Fieri smoke? He was smoking Espinosas before he decided to even remotely jump on the bandwagon, or not the bandwagon. Well, Eric's his own machine, so he's his own machine. Yeah. But but to have to be blessed with a cigar like that, it's absolutely amazing, because they don't make the cigar like even my cigar, the Volume 1 for Iconic Smokers. Like you don't. It's not like, oh yeah, you know what, we have all these pre-rolls. Go ahead and pick that. No. You're gonna go through a process, and if you think that, and because you're gonna go through it, and your money's gonna be spent long before you see your product. But at the end of the day, when you get your product from a company like Espinosa, when you get your product from an Arturo Fuente, AJ Fernandez, and all these top dogs, you know you have something that's cut above the rest, and it's because they go above and beyond for the process. Now, Espinosa, the one thing you're gonna always get out of Espinosa, it's family.
Yeah.
It's 100% family oriented. A lot of people have the misconception that, oh yeah, Eric started it and Junior just jumped on board. No,
No.
Eric called Junior, said, hey, we're gonna make cigars, and Junior was like, let's do it, and he jumped on board. And Junior is like, when I tell you that guy is the encyclopedia 101 for business management when it comes to Espinosa, and Hector is the bro. Hector's the truth. I can't talk enough about Hector. Jack does an amazing job as well, and Jack knows cigars. Jack can tell you from A to Z, from Z to A. He can skip around and he can break down a cigar for you with his eyes closed. But for that team and the people that he brings on, and for you to even get on, that's a whole nother story. But when you have that culmination of people together, bro, this is the result,
Yeah.
right? The fact that you can take a cigar from 2014 and we're in 2022 and say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna hand you this. We're gonna light it together and we're gonna smoke it. And dude, look at this, beautiful.
Beautiful,
Beautiful.
ash, beautiful construction. It's
But
just-
but I get that from the Crema Robusto. I get that from the La Bamba Napalm. So it's consistent all the way through.
So out of the 601 series, before the La Bamba, what was your go-to 601?
Go to.
The go-to.
There's no go to. The reason, for me, the reason there's no go to is because every 601 brings a different facet to the board. You know what I mean? It's like these stars that you put in this van here. You know what I mean? Each one has its own unique presence, and the fact that, you know what, I can go from left to right, from top to bottom. To me, the 601 series is just amazing. You know what you might catch me with more often than not, maybe the black, but that's just personal preference on some days, and it depends on, because there's days I go to Espinosa and I haven't had a meal, and I'll pick up. Yeah, I'll pick up a. Let me make this clear. With Espinosa cigars, you better eat lunch or you better eat dinner, because you're gonna get a full ride.
It's a steak and potatoes
Yeah.
type of cigar.
Yeah, you're gonna get the full ride. But if you think you're the man of man, and we did it at Lazona Palooza, where we had the challenge
You'll find
where
out.
smoke a whole cigar, who could smoke the cigar the fastest, and then the guy won. And excuse me for not remembering his name at the moment; it'll come to me in a second. But he won, and then 5 minutes later, he was puking his life out, and not because the cigar was a bad cigar. It's just that the strength got to him.
Yeah.
And that is that goes to, again, the testament of that company. When you've been to Espinosa's?
Hell yeah.
Okay,
I was there in the beginning.
okay,
Because I
so
worked for Abe, so we'd have an event. Like, hey, run down and pick up cigar. Okay, cool. And I'd go down, grab stuff.
so what do you feel when you walk in the door? And you probably, from what you're saying, you probably started at the little factory
Yeah.
before the big one. So you went around the corner by the Home Depot
Yep.
and into the little warehouses, right, where it was like we both had to stand next to each other to look at the mass amount of cigars that was in there. But it hasn't changed.
My experience with Espinosa, and this is even before Espinosa Cigars was a thing. This is when Espinosa was a rep for Rocky Patel. All right, this is how long Espinosa and I go back. As far as, like, we're not good friends. I don't have his phone number, things like that. But he is one of those guys that, like you said, it's family. It is just family. So when you talk to him at an event, the one thing that I loved about him, and he laughed and he made a joke. He said, I'm not going to come in here in a three-piece suit with a tie on. And we all know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And it was funny.
Yeah, we do.
He's like, I'm not going to come down there, and he's like, no, I'm going to come in my jeans and my t-shirt. He's like, it's going to be a clean t-shirt, but I'm going to come in jeans and a t-shirt because that's who I am.
Yeah.
He said, I don't walk around in board meetings with a tie on and an ass crack. He said, I'm not doing all that. He was like, that's not me. He
But-
said, for me to do that, wouldn't be not giving 100% of who I am as Eric Espinosa.
Eric would give you a shirt off his back if you asked for it. That Eric will listen. You could sit down, and it could be one sandwich. Eric will cut that sandwich down to however many people sitting there, and Eric will be like, "You take yours first, I'll take mine last."
Yep.
Those are, you know,
Those are the type of guys
I was,
you want to
yeah, I was looking at a thing this morning, and I posted it, and it said that I don't need, I don't need somebody that loves me. I need somebody that's loyal to me,
Yeah.
because love, you'll love me to death. You'll kill me
Oh, yeah.
for love,
Mhm.
but loyalty, we rocking and riding forever.
Yeah.
You know, and me now, like I've always heard about you guys. I've always heard about executive. I've always heard about the camaraderie, the culture, the essence of what, because you know they talk about it. They listen. If you think a cigar manufacturer doesn't know their go-to stores,
Oh,
the
yeah.
ones that
100%.
not, and it's not about value. It's not about how much you purchase or anything
It's
of
about
that
the
nature.
personnel.
It's about the person. You know, the fact that, you know what, if my son is sick, you're gonna call me. Hey, how's your son doing?
Yeah.
How,
What can I
you
do?
know, yeah,
Yeah.
what can I do to help you out?
Yeah.
You know what? Listen, you know I'm a phone call away, a heartbeat, or whatever like that. And then the fact that, here's the funny part, right? A lot of people will say, and you kind of mentioned it. You'll be like, oh well, you know, I don't have his number. You never needed his number, because guess what? Put a comment on Facebook and
He'll be
watch
right
him
there.
respond immediately or whatever, right? Because, and it doesn't matter what part of the world he's in, right? The guy's all the way in Puerto Rico, and he's still having a conversation with you right now at this very second. He does not, he does not second class his consumers, and he does not second class the lounges. And that's the one thing that Espinosa, when you do it, brings to the table, that I see that other companies do it in a sense, but it's just the way that Espinosa does it that makes
It's
it
that
different.
one-on-one
It's
feel. It's
class.
not, you're not going through the brand rep. You're not going through somebody else. Like, you have an issue, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, and you say something, that's the call you're going to get. You're not going to get the call from, junior saying, "Hey, I heard about this." You're going to get the call from senior saying, "Hey, this is what I heard. What's up?"
Let's fix it right now,
And
because I won't get off the phone with you
until it's
until
done.
it's
it's
resolved.
Yeah.
Right now, there's other companies that you'll be like, "Oh man, the cigar unraveled on me. Oh man, you know the draw was too tight or whatever like that." And I'll be like, "Really? Maybe you stored it wrong. They want to put it back on you, right?" Tell me that Eric ever
Never.
ever will do that to you, no matter whether he was a sales rep for Rocky Patel, Drew Estate, whoever, and now to being an owner. He brought that same culture, that same vibe, that same
Took
essence,
responsibility.
and took responsibility from the ground, from the factory floor to the ash. He brings it to you, right? And this is the guy who will, you got a problem? You know what? I ain't even gonna talk to you on the phone. I'm gonna come personally. I'm gonna come to you. Let's sit down. Show me what you got. Let's correct it. The fact that now, you know what, the rest of the world is catching on, and I'm kind of saddened by that. Not because, and I want to make it clear. The reason I'm saddened by that is because what happened is now I know there's less cigars for me.
Well, it goes to the thing of, when people don't fully understand you or your vision, they'll shit on and it's like, oh, he's not gonna make it. He's not gonna. I mean, and to the point, Jonathan Drew. Jonathan Drew started out,
And a kiosk.
everybody laughed at him like, "What the fuck are you doing with these acid cigars? This shit's never gonna fly." Guess what?
Number one seller.
Biggest manufacturing plant in the fucking world. Biggest manufacturing plant in the world.
I love
People
those.
laughed at him to his face.
I love those guys over at Drew Estate, because the different personalities. Like I get to travel with those guys, right? And not only with the the U.S. side, but they have the international side as well. So
Pedro.
so when you have, well, Pedro's not part of the international team; he's part of the national team, but he does the barn smokers and everything of that nature. And shout out to Pedro. Hey man, I know you're working on something. You're studying, bro. I know you got it. You my brother. I know you got it. I ain't even worried about it. So we're gonna celebrate Pedro. Pedro, my dude. He comes to my house. him and Julie, they came to my house. I cooked for them and everything. They sat down. I've gone to his house. We sat down. We've ate together, whatever like that. I'm telling you, Pedro is one of those guys who is like he's essential to the culture.
Absolutely.
Like I mean, if he wasn't here, there would be a void.
Yeah.
But I can say the same thing about Senior. I can say the same thing about Junior. I can say the same thing about Jack. I can say the same thing about Richie. Every single one of these people from these companies, they bring a vibe. Drew Estate, it's the fun loving culture, whatever. With Espinosa, Senior likes to do the magic tricks. You know what I mean? He'll teach you something. And don't sit down with the cards, dominoes. I don't play. I don't want no parts of it. I'm making it clear. Listen to me. I want no parts of it. I'm not gonna sit down at a domino table with Senior. Number one, I like my wallet because the way it's set up, it got money in it right now. But you know what I mean. But then I'm gonna have to lose my life savings and start from scratch. No, so Senior, you got it. I just want to make that clear. You know, and Junior, yo, watching those two operate together is like yin and yang. It's an absolute amazing thing to do. Oh, they go back and forth, and let me tell you,
It's like a husband and wife almost. Sometimes.
whoa, they bust each other
Oh,
balls so
man.
bad. Like, hey, Junior walk up to, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, I'm like, dude, that's your dad. He's like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Hey, listen. You know, we have a duty to showcase and to put on, and we have a duty to our customers and to our clientele. So we're gonna make sure we keep that, and it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So
To see it in action.
so now I know you talked about you have the boat ramp coming soon. What else is on the horizon for you guys?
So there are a couple things.
Don't put out what you can't put out. I'm only asking what's public.
There are a couple of things, and we've talked about it before. So I'm a blender. I am not a master blender. I'm a blender. And
You know what the difference is? It's not a certificate. It's time.
time. Yeah, absolutely.
Time
Absolutely.
and tobacco. Because what happened is the more types of tobacco that you get your hands on, the more you get to play with, the more you get to craft.
Yeah.
Your certification will come.
Yeah.
And to me, it's not a paper one. It's
No,
it's
no.
it's a
It's from the
tobacco.
public. Yeah.
It's the response. The fact that imagine I'm nobody, right? I'm gonna say that. But imagine I'm able to put out a cigar, and just the simple fact that I can say it's in conjunction with Espinosa and sell out in a day,
Yeah,
and sell out in a day,
yeah,
It speaks
bro.
volumes.
it does.
But yeah, we have a cigar coming out. I've got some tobacco on the water coming in, and we're actually going to make. Me and Art are going to make it a cigar because he loves the cigars, and
But you're
want to do
medium.
something.
You're more medium throughout the day, right?
I'm medium full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the afternoon,
Yeah, I'm medium full.
And the reason I can say it is because I'm watching you smoke, and I see how you smoke. And the thing is, the guys who are full body, we're gonna throttle through the cigar because what happens is if it's a good cigar, if it's a good cigar, we're gonna throttle through it,
Yeah.
right? The guys who are more medium, they're gonna baby it just a little bit more because they're trying to get the complexity, that understanding of it.
Yeah, I like to savor.
Yeah.
I like to savor, neighbor. So and then Vitola, you know, I'm a Lancero fan. I'm a Box Press fan. So I'm a Robusto fan. So there are certain Vitolas that I naturally have an affinity to. So yeah, so that's also part of it as well. Now I'll still go back and get a Connecticut early part of the day, and then sometimes I want a pepper bottom. So I'll go Habano. So because my palate is still developing and curating and so forth, I love being able to switch up my palate from time to time.
It took me a long time to understand pepper, and not because of the strength of pepper. It's the way that it hits your palate.
Yes.
Because
and it's varietal.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's white pepper, there's black pepper. I gave him a cigar a couple of weeks ago and started right away. I was like, pick up some black pepper, and you were like, yes, right off the bat.
The difference between the front of your tongue or the back of your mouth or the top of your roof.
Yeah.
That and even cuts. Like I tell people, like if you ever had like a chisel, right? So when you have a chisel, right, people will see me take a punch and they're like, "Bro, it's a chisel. Why are you taking a punch? Punch the top of that cigar."
Yeah.
See, now for me, I do it differently. I punch the top forward and the back backward towards the end of the cigar.
So you get that
So
360.
exactly, and and I tell people it changes your take on that cigar.
The reason I punch, me personally, I do the one punch, and you could try it out, and you let me know, right? Is when I punch the top of the cigar, I still do it at an angle, right? So I either get forward, and then I rotate my cigars as a smoke, so that way I can get that natural line. I'm not relighting every 5 minutes, unless we're like in a freezing cold or the wind's blowing on it or whatever. But when you rotate that cigar and then you take that next puff and it doubles back the opposite way, oh man, oh, the experience itself is it's beautiful. It's
And lately, I've been talking to more people about the importance of retrohaling. So many of the people that I know smoke cigars, they don't retrohale or understand the concept of retrohaling, and that you're picking up all of the flavors, ideally, that the blender wants you to pick up. You can pick up 3 or 4 just off your tongue, but you can pick up, double-digit amounts, when you're retrohaling. So,
that's because your nose takes in way more than your tongue.
I tell people it's like when you have a cold, you can't taste your food.
Yeah.
And when that cold's over, your taste comes back. So it's so when people ask me why, I use that as an anecdotal example as to the importance of it.
And the same thing goes with beverages.
Yes.
Like when I smoke a true pepper bomb, like if I smoke my Triple H Habano or if I smoke a Pepin Black Label, I'm gonna have a glass of sweet red. And people are like, well, why are you drinking wine with your cigar? And I'm like, the floral notes of that sweet red bring out all those hidden flavors that you would never pick up because your palate's so overpowered by the spice that all those subtle notes and changes you don't necessarily pick up because your palate's coated. I said, but when you refresh your palate by taking a sip of water, by taking a sip of wine, in some cases, like I would tell you, going back to the Burn the Band, we did, when the Digger first came out, we did the Burn the Band challenge with the Digger. And I knew what it was because I had already smoked it.
So you cheated.
Antonio,
You cheated. No. You cheated. You had advance notice.
And he gave it to me. So he was like, here, smoke this. And I was like, okay, cool. So I smoked it. And then when he got there for the event, he's like, hey, by the way, we're doing the Burn the Band. I was like, all right, cool. What are we going to smoke? And he was like, Diggers. I'm like, you just launched that. You're going to give that up? Like, it's a $10 stick. I was like, you know how many guys are going to line up to smoke that? He's like, it doesn't fucking matter. I don't care. So I had eaten. So I finished the Digger in an hour and 14 minutes without getting up. Now, if you know, the Digger is a 10-inch double Maduro.
Yeah.
And it is not to be trifled with.
Yeah, you better be ready. Yeah, stay ready so you can be ready.
And I finished, and everyone's like, oh, get up and say, I was like, no, I'm good.
But size doesn't matter, though.
And they're like, well,
that's
well, yeah, it went to the straight because it was so much nicotine, so much Maduro. It was like, and I saw guys were getting up, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm like I already knew.
The unicorn from Saka.
Yes.
Just to bring up, another cigar. The unicorn from Saka. When he came out with it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be gimmicky or whatever like that. So I'm in Vegas. It's crazy. I'm in Vegas. I'm sitting with Steve Saka. We're at a cigar lounge. We had got away or whatever, and then we just sat down and we had a conversation. Me, him, I forgot who else was there, but we had a conversation. Crazy enough, O.J. Simpson was right behind us inside the lounge. Right, so I can picture it like it was yesterday.
Richard Brentwood.
Love, no love.
And you know what Saka told me? And Saka told me, he goes, listen, Jake. He goes, you smoke that cigar, and if you don't like it, call me. I'll personally give you your money back. And I go, okay, I'll smoke it. I went to George at Come Smoke With Us because that's one of the shops who carries it. I grabbed a cigar. I smoked it. I called him for my money, not because the cigar was bad or anything. I was just wanting to see if he was gonna give me $100. but dude, that's one of those cigars that it's an experience. It's not the price point. It's the tobacco that he put in, and he broke it down to me. He told me how much he spent on the leaves. He told me how much he had to inject into it. Obviously, how much to transition it from Nicaragua over to the U.S. and everything, and the process that he went through blending it. That right there told me that it was going to be nice. Yeah, it was going to be a nice cigar. And then the fact that once I got to smoke it, and I smoked it by myself, like those niche cigars, those higher ends and everything. Yeah, I'll smoke it. I'll smoke like Arturo Fuente or something from Espinosa in public or whatever like that. But that's because I've already had my experience in private. I'm gonna tell everybody who's watching: always buy 3 cigars. Like, always buy 3 cigars. The reason you buy 3 cigars is because the first one you may not get the experience that you're looking for because of the environment that you're in or what you were expecting because of what people say about it. Oh, this can rival with this or whatever like that. Number one, when you smoke that first one, go in there with zero expectations and let the cigar lead you. Right. So then when you smoke that second one, then you're gonna get the nuances. Then you're gonna get the flavors, the profile, and everything like that. Right? When you smoke, by the time you smoke that third one, because some people, the third one, they'll age it. They'll put it away for a year, 6 months, or whatever. That's why I said I got cigars. I ain't gonna say how many, but I got cigars. Right? So when you get to revisit that cigar, whether it's still on the market or not, you're gonna get a completely different experience.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That was the exact experience I had the first time I tried the Byron Reserve. The Reserve, I didn't care for it, and so I kept it away for a while, and then I started smoking it again, and then it gave me a completely different experience, and I got to appreciate it and enjoy it more. So now that's one of my favorite cigars. I keep some at home, along with the Atabey Ritos. Same thing. Yeah.
Going on with my rule of threes is you buy 3 cigars, but you buy it from 3 different shops. For the fact that some people maintain their humidors differently.
Very.
Yeah. So I always say that if you had a bad experience with a cigar, it may not be the cigar. It may not be you. It could be that humidification was off that day. It may be that cigar box literally just got off the UPS truck and it was 120 degrees, and that cigar's just not ready. It didn't sit long enough.
But 2 things about your shop here. Number 1, your high ceilings make a difference.
Yeah.
Number 2, your customers don't smoke with the cigars.
No.
So because it's enclosed, it's encased, right? The humidification is always there, right? And then the fact that you have your amazing staff there that I don't have to get up. I can, hey, can I get this? And they'll grab it for you, and they'll bring it to you. And that right there, that controlled environment makes the absolute utmost difference in a cigar shop. And I don't own a cigar shop yet, but the thing is that that's what I look for in cigar shops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We went through that here with Rodriguez cigars out of Key West. They wanted to carry them, and one of the requirements that Danny had was, I need to come visit your spot. I need to see what the humidification looks like. I need to see what the temperature control looks like, because this is my product, my brand. I want to make sure it's being curated and kept under the right conditions. Yeah. And so once he did that, then they made the agreement. So
yeah, and Rodriguez is I love their cigars. It's on my list of factories that I got to go visit. Every time I say I'm going to go to Key West, I end up in some other state. So, like, in Key West is a 4-hour drive the opposite direction from where I live, right? But, like, the one thing about them is they've been in business for years. And guess what? Their reputation has stayed intact. Why? Because they are purists. They understand the essence of the smoke, and they understand what the requirements are to properly age and keep cigars, which most people don't do.
Very true.
So with that, we will close out this edition of the ATF Radio Show. Jay, thank you for coming by, hanging out with us. For Chair Force Steve, the other member of our crew who's on duty this week, we miss you.
Under an airplane right
Yes, wish you were here. And Cigar Snob is always a pleasure. And as we always say, smoke well, eat well, and as always,
and you center mass.
We'll
Thank you guys for coming out. And if you got time,
come on down.
Go ahead and come on down. They've got a concert starting at 6 o'clock. So come and enjoy yourself, get some food, bring the kids out, and get twisted.
That's it.
Peace.
And chicken grease.